Okay, I think we've got most people here. So, good morning. My name's Priscilla. Today we're going to be reviewing advanced techniques for save searches in NetSuite. So, our agenda for the day is I'm going to do a quick introduction. I'm going to do an overview of save searches. Then we'll do some demos directly in NetSuite with summary types and formulas as our focus. And lastly, we'll have some time for a Q&A. So, a little bit about myself. My name is Priscilla Goins. I'm a consultant here at Oasis, which I've been here 6 months now, but I've been in the NetSuite space for 8 years. I do have some NetSuite certifications, such as ERP consultant, but my specialization is workflows and JavaScripting within NetSuite. So, any customizations that you might need, we can assist with that. And I did go to Texas A&M University, a proud member of class of 2015. All right, so to get started today, we're going to do an overview of saved searches. So saved searches can be split into various components. The main two are the criteria and the results. And additionally, you can have filters. So the criteria is limiting what is shown. So for example, if you have 1,000 customers in your system, but you only want to see the customers that were created within the last year, that would be a criteria. So you could limit those results. Then you have the results. So the results is actually the information you want to display. So if we're limiting our search to only be the ones created within the last year, maybe we want to see information such as the name, the date created, and that would be the information we add to the results. Then lastly, we have filters. So the filters are similar to the criteria that you would have on a search. However, it allows you to be able to filter down within the user interface. So a common filter might be like name. So we might have the criteria is we're only looking at 365, but we have a filter on the user interface where we could maybe type in a name such as John, and we would limit that to only show us John in the moment. But it's not something we always want to apply by default. So that would be a filter. And one more thing about saved searches. So the definition of search is, the ability to be able to look for something. So searches usually you would run just once. And NetSuite does have that capability. You can just create a search and run it. But a saved search is one that you want to continue to run. And it can be used in addition to reports in order to get information out of NetSuite at a more detailed level. All right, so we're going to go into the demo in NetSuite. So here I am on the NetSuite side, and on my dashboard, I have some save searches pre-built on here on my reminder section. So I'm just going to pull up the first one, and we're going to click on Edit this search to view the details of it. So for our title, we do like to have titles that explain what it is the search is displaying. So because my my search is on a transaction, it's titled TRX, and we're looking at invoices. So in our criteria, the type is invoice. We're looking for greater than 30 days. So the days overdue is greater than 30, and we're looking for the total amount to be over 50K so that our amount is greater than 50,000. So it is important to ensure that the title of your search coordinates with what criteria you have. Then on the results, you have the columns that you want to display. So as mentioned earlier, this is the information that we want to see. So the first thing that we want to review today are the summary types for a saved search. So right now, if I preview this search, I'm just getting straight information of these are my invoices that are 30 days, over 30 days due, and they're greater than 50,000. But maybe you want to group. So let's say you wanted to group by the month. I can see the period here, but it's splitting it out. So the summary function allows you to do some of that grouping. So on the results tab, you can go to the summary type. So under date, I can then decide to group by the date. And that's going to group that specific date. I could also group by the period if I wanted to. If you just do the summary type on one line and then you preview, all the results you're going to get are just by that specific grouping. So if I preview this, now I'm looking at it just grouped by that specific date. In addition to the summary type of the group, there's also a function. So because this is a date field, I could put this function and I could say I want to group by the month, or I could group by the day, or the week of the year. So I'm going to put week of the year as an example, and then I'm going to preview that. And now it's splitting the grouping up based on the week. So this is the 31st week of that year. I could also, just to show you, since we did have a couple that were the same months, we'll do this by month, and we should see our results slim down to just two results, which was August and September. So that's what the sum function does. Depending on what it is, like the amount is a numerical value, then the grouping options here would be a little bit different. I wouldn't select group, I would select either minimum, maximum, or average, or sum. That's the other one. So ideally, I don't want to just see the date. I want to see the sum. And then maybe I also want to see this grouped by the customer. So I would also group the customer here. And so what this is going to do now, it's going to group it by month, by customer, and then it's going to show me that total amount, that sum. So if I click on preview, now my search is showing me that information. So you can see all of these are just a little bit blue. That means I can click into them and get the detail. So if I were to click into 2023-08, then this is going to give me the details of the search for everything that falls under that month. And then you can go to return to summary. So while the summary function is nice and it's similar to what a report can do, it doesn't have that nice roll up that a report would have. You do have to click into it to see that information. So that is a quick overview of the summary types and the functions. Next, we're going to go into some formulas. So I'm going to pull up this search. And while that is loading, I'm also going to bring back my screen here. Oops, sorry. We'll have to skip through that. So the first thing I want to review on the formulas are how to concatenate. So in Excel, it's pretty easily done. We're usually very familiar with how with how Excel works. So in a specific cell, you can enter equals, concat, then your parentheses, enter the first cell that you want, then you enter, a spacing if you wanted to, then the second cell, and you can close that. And that would do a concatenation for you in Excel. Well, you can do the same thing in NetSuite. It just looks a little bit different. So in NetSuite, what you want to do is you want to grab the field ID. So for this example, I'm doing the transaction number, or excuse me, I'm doing the number and the name. So you grab the field ID, then you do double pipe, and then you have whatever spacing you want. So if you just want a space, you would put apostrophe space apostrophe, and that's what your concatenation is going to be. And then you would do your double pipe to grab that together, and then you can do your secondary field. And you can continue to build. You don't have to just have two, right? If I wanted to add a third one, I would just do after the squiggly parentheses on the name, I would do another double pipe and add that field that I wanted to in there. So I did pull up the wrong search, my apologies. So, oh no. We'll just actually do a concatenation together. Okay, so here under the formula, we have that number, double pipe, space, name. So when we preview this and we look at that column that we labeled concatenate, we are getting the document number with a space and then this name here. We can also do things like I mentioned, you can add a tertiary. So if I wanted to add another field to this, I can click on this little like double arrow to open up that formula for me. And then I could do my double pipe again, and then select the field that I want. So then the NetSuite field selector, you can find the specific field you want. So if I wanted to also add, let's say, the document type, I can just scroll down until I get to type. And when I select that, it's going to enter that field for me. Because I have no spacing and I just set this there, when I run this, it's going to have that name and that type together. So we'll just preview that to show. So you can see as soon as the name foundation ends, it's got sales order right there. So if I wanted to add maybe a dash, I would just ensure that for this formula, I would enter space, apostrophe, then I can do a dash, apostrophe, space, and then my double type to concatenate. And now what I would expect to see is we would have that name and then the dash with the sales order. So that's how you can concatenate pretty easily in NetSuite. All right, now for the good one. Oh, why does it keep restarting? Sorry. Bear with me here. All right, so the next one, and this is probably going to be the most commonly used one, is the if statement versus a case when. So in Excel, it's pretty easy to do an if, right? So if we wanted to look at a specific cell and determine if it was greater than 100, we want to set it to high or low. That would be the sample formula we would put in there. In NetSuite, we don't have if statements, we have case when. So you can do a case when, and then you would do the field ID. So in this example, it would be amount. So if the amount is greater than 100, then we want to display high, or else we want to display low, and then we end that statement. Before I show this in NetSuite, I'm going to move over to the next slide. So this is your case when operators. So, you know, some samples are greater than or less than, but we can also do like less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So this is in here for reference, since this is recorded and it'll be sent out. You all have reference to this. So back into our search, we're going to return to criteria, and we have this high or low sample in here. So looking at the results, we can see that the field type is formula text. I forgot to mention that. So if you do want to have a formula, you would enter formula, and there are options: currency, date, HTML, numeric. Most of the time, you're likely working with text or numeric. There are some examples you can work with HTML. We'll go through that one in just a minute. But your formula is that case when, and then the amount. On this one, I have it set to greater than 1,000. So when we preview this, we have a result in our search that is exactly equal to 1,000. So that is showing low because we don't have it to be greater than or equal to, we just have it greater than. So it's looking for 1,000.01 and up. So if we want to just add that greater than or equal to in our results, we'll just put in an equal sign behind it and preview. And now we would expect that 1,000 line to now be showing as high, for example. All right. And so then now if we go to our results here, your case when statements don't have to just be numerical. You can also have text. So for example, there is a formula here that we're looking, and we just gave it a custom label of billing status. It is important to always give yourself a custom label whenever you have a formula, or else NetSuite's just going to display formula. So for this example, we have a case when the status equals billed, then we want to display the text billed, else we want to display need to bill, and then we're closing that. And for reference, I also added the status field so that we can just visually see what it is we're looking at. So back into previewing this search, we can see the billing status. It's either need to bill or billed, because those are the only two we put in our case statement. And then I can verify that the status over here is, there's a pending fulfillment, there's pending approval, there's billed. There can be various statuses, but these are the two things that we want to display. So there are quite a bit of things you can do with case statements. You can do multiple cases. So like you can do when X, then that, and keep building onto it, and then close it with your end statement. It doesn't have to just be one, but we're keeping it simple for today. All right. We're going to get into another example. So there is a search here that displays some text in different colors. So NetSuite Save Searches have the ability to do highlighting, but the highlighting on a search applies to the entire line. Using a formula in HTML, you can highlight just a specific, not highlight, but you can add color coding to specific fields. So for this example, we are looking at transactions that have had a shipping date change. So if we look at the criteria, we're looking at type as sales order, mainline is true, and then because we want to see when the ship date changed, we're looking at the system notes field. So going back to basic NetSuite searches, the first things you see are fields that pertain to that record. So this is a transaction search. So these are all transaction fields. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, you have your joining fields. So if I wanted to get something from the sales rep, I could click on sales rep fields and grab that. And system notes is available. So we are limiting our criteria. We did system notes fields, and then we were looking at the specific field was any of ship date. So since we have our criteria limiting to that specific system notes field, on the results, we can add some formulas to look at the system notes fields. So this is kind of taking the two concepts that we've learned, which is summary types as well as formulas, and using them together to get a pretty robust search in here. So this formula is looking at the maximum. And the reason we're looking at maximum is because we want to see the most recent date. So we're doing a case when, and we're looking at the system notes old value, and we're comparing it to the system notes new value. So this is saying when the system notes old value is not equal to the system notes new value, then we want to display the old value because that's going to be our previous ship date. And so we made this a formula HTML because we wanted to add some color and some bolding. So I have two examples here. You can use standard colors like red, blue, green. You can actually enter that. Or if you know the hex code and you want to get a little bit more fancy, you can enter the actual hex code to get a different view there. So going back to preview this, since we do have some groupings, we're going to click into this sales order to see what's going on here. So we can see that the current ship date is 3/27/2025, but the previous one was 2/13/2025. So when we click on, oh, well, I might have just been logged out. There might be an issue with my formula. Yeah. My apologies. Let's just double check that real quick. I think I had a case when I was messing with the highlighting and I think that ruined my, yeah, okay. My apologies. I was trying to do the NetSuite highlighting and I ruined it. All right, so when I click into the detail, it's giving me all the same information. This ship date only changed once, so I'm only seeing it here once. But maybe this one had it changed a couple of times. It did. So on this one, we can see that originally it was 6/28/2024, and at some point it changed to 7/1/2024. And then now the newest one is 7/15/2024. So that maximum is showing us that 7/1/2024 when this is grouped together, but you can drill down to see the individual detail to see, how many times did it changed and that information. All right, so that's some of the HTML that you can do within a formula to get some pretty decent results. And then lastly, there's a search that we have here. This is just another example of how robust you can get with a NetSuite search. So we are displaying the percent build. I'm not going to go into the detail of how to create this one and explain it, but I am going to edit this search and show you the formula so you have a reference. But essentially what we're doing here is we're looking at the amount build versus the amount. And we've got some pretty cool text in here that gives us that space, that progress bar essentially that you're seeing. So I won't exactly say sky's the limit when it comes to formulas in NetSuite, but there is quite a bit that you can build on. All right, so we've got 5 minutes left here. I'm going to open this to questions. So if anybody has anything, feel free to put it in the chat. If you have a scenario that you want to go through, we might be able to try to get this built in the next 5 minutes. All right, so Beth Rose. And bear with me, this is my first time doing a webinar, so I need to figure out how to let you speak. Okay. Hi, Beth. Thanks for joining.
Hey, how are you? Thanks. Great demo. Okay, so I have a question. When you, in the previous one, not the one with the cool little spider thing, because that's super cool. How did it know that what system notes field that you were looking at?
Great question. Great question. All right, so I'm gonna open that search back again, and I'm actually just gonna try to, oh, I didn't save that. So I'm gonna open this transaction and show you how I came to the conclusion of what I wanted to look at. It is a good practice, in my opinion, to always have the record that you're running your search on open, at least in a new tab or something, so you can ensure that you're getting the right information in your search. So on the sales order, if we go to system information and then we go to system notes, I know here that the field that I want to see is ship date. So right here on my shipping, this is the ship date. So there's multiple ways that you can know that that's the specific field you want. I can look at ship date and copy my field ID, and I know that that's going to be
Yeah,
ship
I mean,
date.
I have an idea of that, but it's like in your formula, when you said when system nodes old value versus system nodes new value. And I didn't see anywhere where it said, and I want the system nodes for the ship date.
And yeah, so the reason I did that is if I look at the system information, I know that the field specifically that I'm looking for is ship date. So in that search that we created,
Yeah,
we set the criteria. So the
oh,
criteria
it's from the
on the
criteria.
search is specifically system notes field ship date.
Okay, let me get that.
So if there was, you know, a specific field that I want to look at, and that's why I named it ship date change, because that's specifically the system notes that we're doing. So the results are showing us the old value versus the new value, but that's
Awesome.
because my criteria has been limited to only look at that field.
Okay,
If you
wonderful.
if you did have multiple fields in here, then this specific formula wouldn't really work.
Yes.
So
Okay,
that is a great question. If you are looking at things that are system notes or anything that's sourced, so if you're looking at, you know, system notes, fields, dot, 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 any of those
yes.
that
So
you're
like an
picking down
ETA
here.
date changing. So if we had a custom field for ETA and it, you know, you could look at system notes, ETA date, and if it went from X to Y, then you could do it that way.
Yes, correct. What
Yeah,
you wouldn't be able to do in that instance is have multiple in the same search. So if I
yes.
wanted to look at when my ship date changed and I also wanted to see the billing date, right? I wouldn't be able to do that in the same search. I would have separate searches to get that information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Great question. I know we're at time here, but I'll leave it open to one more question if anybody else has one.
I have another if no one else has any.
All right, and since this is a webinar, you do have to raise your hand to ask, and then I can give you the room. But I'll let you go ahead, Beth, while if anyone else has one, they can ask it in the meantime.
It might be quick. I have a transaction search that's coming back with like a zillion entries. How do I limit that search to show me just the entries in the past year?
Oh, great question. So that's going to go back to your criteria. So
Okay,
within the criteria, you can easily set date, and then you can do within a specific time period. But if you want it to be only the past year, you can do either like year to date, or you can do, you know, like beginning of fiscal year. So we would want to limit this to only be anything that is after, and then you can enter a specific date here if you want to hard code it, or you have these like dynamic filters. So we can do year to kind of filter, and we'll put start of this year example, if we wanted to do just like the beginning of January. So this is going to, if we set this, this is only going to give us transactions with a date that is after the start of this year.
what if you wanted to do like a rolling 12 months?
Perfect. So instead of you can do start of last, is it rolling year? No, we want to do start of this.
Yeah, those filters are always hard for me to decide which one to pick.
All right, so you can also just do like day. And
But it's in the criteria. I think I was trying
yeah,
to do it in the results. Okay,
yeah. So you can do like 90 days ago, and yeah, you just have to play around with it to get the specific one you want. I like to do like you can do relative, right? And so you can do 365 days ago, right? That's an
okay.
example, and that's going to give you exactly 365. All right, Steve, I think you had a question as well.
Yes, are you going to be able to share this recording?
Yes, we will send this out.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, thank you all for your time today. I know that was pretty quick, but I hope you learned something. And if you didn't get some screenshots, you can get some when this is available to kind of copy some of those formulas out.